Hello and welcome to another Cliff Reviews Art House. This time I'm reviewing the film Die My Love, directed by Lynne Ramsay. This is the story of a woman, Grace, who's overwhelmed by severe mental illness while trying to hold together a fragile life in rural Montana. We've really effectively plunged into her chaotic inner world. The opening shot is extraordinary. Ramsay holds a static camera on the interior of a house that's clearly fallen into decay. We stay with it for a long time. Rubbish is scattered across the floor. The wallpaper is an intense red with a warm pattern, and the frame looks through one room into the next, each doorway narrowing the view until it reaches a set of French doors at the far end. Figures appear in the distance. It's a really arresting shot, and it immediately announces Ramsay's control of both the mood and the space. I was completely absorbed. The film is full of visual beauty of that sort. The cinematography is remarkable, full of saturated colour that somehow feels drained rather than vibrant. The whole film feels like an old house that's seen better days, which of course is the set for the film. There are several night scenes that have a strange, almost twilight quality, and Googling this afterwards, this was actually intentional. The cinematographer filmed many of these scenes in daylight, then darkened them during the color grading process to give the image a soft, dreamlike quality. The result is a deep blue atmosphere that feels neither natural nor artificial, but something in between, as if we're seeing the world through the haze of Grace's disturbed perception. The effect is really striking. It adds to the sense of exhaustion that runs through the entire film, and it gives the night a haunting, unreal glow. It's really great filmmaking. Purely in visual terms, this is a striking work. However, in other respects, I didn't enjoy this film at all. It's a story of mental illness, and Ramsay keeps us inside that experience from the first scene to the last. The tone never changes. There's no release, no shift, no moment where we step back and breathe. The film insists on total immersion in Grace's madness. It's brilliant as an act of portrayal, but it's unrelating, and for me, it was ultimately too much. I felt the same with Ari Aster's Beau is Afraid. That film also is locked inside its paranoia, yet at least it has moments of humour, invention and absurdity. Die My Love has none of that. There is a scene in the woods scored with the song April Showers from Bambi, which seemed to offer perhaps a moment of joy or freedom, but it quickly dissipates. Even that moment is suffused with the same oppressive mood. Jennifer Lawrence is amazing. She gives a fiercely committed performance as Grace. She's really convincing in every gesture. I think there are obvious similarities to her role in Darren Aronofsky's Mother. Robert Pattinson, Nick Nolte and Catherine Waterston are also strong, yet nearly all of the characters exist in relation to Lawrence. They feed off her state rather than standing as people with their own stories. Even Grace is given little backstory. The performance is impressive, but the character feels oddly thin. There are a few conversations that hint at something richer. One between Lawrence and Pattinson in the car about the last time they had sex. It finally touches on intimacy and an estrangement in an interesting way. Also, there's a brief exchange at a party which feels momentarily alive. Yet these scenes only highlight how much of the dialogue exists merely to drive home her mental collapse. It rarely opens up a fuller emotional world. The music in this film often does a lot of the work, and at times it can feel a little heavy-handed. Ramsay uses songs and sound with real intention here, but the effect is forceful rather than subtle. It does add emotional texture, and it intensifies the sense of collapse, but it is quite confrontational. It's as though the music is determined to keep us locked inside her state of mind with no room to step back. Combined with the unbroken tone of the film, it contributed to my overall feeling of being overwhelmed rather than drawn in. I don't doubt for 1 minute that Ramsay's made exactly the film she intended. It's technically superb and it never compromises on its chosen direction. But for me, it's a miserable experience. I could admire it, but not enjoy it. I appreciate that this is a matter of taste. The film seems to have been really well received by the critics. I do have to acknowledge that it's possible that my palate was still affected by my Kelly Reichardt bumper season, where I watched all of her films. Her films are so minimalist and so delicate. Ramsay is a very different filmmaker, more visceral, more forceful, more intense. Perhaps the binging on that Reichardt minimalism did make my senses oversensitive. I guess in the end, this is a matter of taste, but the full-on miserable, depressing tone of Die My Love did feel a little too much for me. The film's presented in the narrow Academy format. I've questioned this choice in other recent reviews that I've done. I do understand the intention. In this film, it's supposed to create a sense of claustrophobia that mirrors the trapped state of grace. But in my personal view, the effect isn't worth the loss of the wider screen. For films that don't truly depend on this format, it feels more like an arty experiment than an essential aesthetic decision. Overall, Die My Love is a beautifully made film. It's crafted with care and vision, but for me, it's a difficult watch. It never lets up and it never lets in any light. I guess some will admire that level of commitment. I found it exhausting. Nevertheless, despite all this, I do recommend it. It's an excellent film. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.